Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, I know that a lot of people watch a lot of the shows, so there is an arc to them and there is a continuity. There is, in essence, there's a sameness because they're all with the intention of a dedication to love, a dedication to oneness, a dedication to the realization of our true nature of who we really are. And yet, in some ways, they're different. And in some ways, there are different themes and arcs as we go through the years and the shows. And lately, we've been talking so much about the new paradigms, the new way, the new earth, the new age, the age of what people maybe throughout history have called the golden age, the next golden age, where the realization is of our connection, our love, our oneness, our hope, our intention to be in that connection, to be in that realization, to let love and our realization of that love and our connection be the guiding force in our lives. Be the movement, be the intention, be the love, be the generator of all our actions. And as that starts to happen in more and more lives, more and more individual lives, what is beginning to happen is that the paradigms, the ways that we collectively come together for the arts, for music, for commerce, for education, for teaching, by their essence, but because the vibration, because the energy of which we as human beings, as manifestors, as perpetrators of these institutions, of these paradigms, as we change, as we come more and more into love, that the new paradigms start to form. And the new paradigms start to come on this bridge between heaven and earth with the force and the grace and the efficiency of love. And they don't necessarily come in a way that's linear. They don't necessarily come in a way that are reasonable from what came before, because they're new. They're part of a new experience for humans. More and more humans coming into that recognition of love. And as those paradigms form, they feed that growth. They sustain that growth. We see it for, in particular about bridging. We've been doing the shows for, 15 years now, and for the first, 8, 9, 10, we would send them out to cities all over the United States in particular, and off satellites in Europe, and they were seen by probably hundreds of thousands, and in essence, millions of people. But now with that new paradigm of YouTube, of Google Video, of Vimeo, these energies, these vibrations of the bridging shows with all these extraordinary people coming from all over the planet are available all over the world 24/7 for free on the most secure servers on the planet. And 12 years ago, anybody who told you they could visualize what Google and YouTube and all these other video channels are doing was probably not being exactly accurate. They came, in essence, out of nowhere. And for us, we see that more and more those new paradigms are forming. And those new paradigms are coming, not by themselves, but they're coming through our experience, through the force of our recognition, of our connection, of our oneness, of our love. And it's just enormously interesting, it's enormously beautiful. And we're extraordinarily blessed and gifted to be part of this journey into the new earth, into the new world, into the golden age. And tonight's guest, Michael Tamura, as you know, has been on the Bridging Show probably more than anyone else. And his intention, his gift, his realization, his service that he does joyously and lovingly is to raise those energies, to be part of those new paradigms. I mean, Michael's a spiritual teacher, he's a healer, he's an author. He started most of the psychic institutes in the United States. His book, You Are the Answer, is an extraordinary teaching tool, experiential tool for that raising of consciousness, that raising into our new bodies, into our new lives as part of golden people, as part of a golden age. And he's a master teacher who he awakens souls. He guides people joyously and lovingly to their true destiny and life's purpose. And again, we're honored to have Michael here to bring that gift, that service that he literally has dedicated every day of his life that I know of for the last 30 or 35 years, day in and day out, healing and teaching and intending and working and just an amazing opportunity to spend time with somebody who is extraordinarily gifted. And as part of these new paradigms that are forming, we also are blessed tonight to have trailers of 2 new full-length movies that have been made by people who are coming into that recognition, who are coming into that experience, who are having those realizations about what's important in their lives. And they're filmmakers, they're famous, in essence, famous, as we know them, famous actresses who are coming together to make beautiful movies about love and about oneness, about coming together and about tolerance and about the source and about healing. And we have 2 trailers for those movies. One is The Invocation and one is Tapping the Source. And we'll see both of those trailers tonight. And as most of you know, we're also in the middle of an international healing art project that came as a vision, it came as a dream, to reach out to the world and use the vehicle that bridging offers to reach so many people, and to be able to bring their gifts and bring their art as a healing, as an acupuncture for the planet. And so we're reaching out to the world that anybody who wants to, any skill level, any size, any format, any age, produce a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, and we'll put it on the bridging shows. We'll have art project shows where we only show art. We have a beautiful international healing art website, heaventooearthart.com. And we have 2 beautiful pieces tonight from Violet Crystal from the Netherlands and Neela from Florida in the United States. So pieces are coming in from all over the world. The more people involved, the better the healing, the better the acupuncture, the better the creativity, and the better the collaboration. So anybody is interested to contact us at any time. Everyone is welcome to join us, and the more the merrier. So please join me in a short meditation, and then we'll have the first Invocation trailer, and then Michael will be with us. Thank you. So the first video we're going to see tonight is the trailer for The Invocation. It was produced and narrated by Sharon Stone, the world-renowned actress, and it was produced and directed by Emmanuel ETR, a new friend of Bridging from the Santa Barbara area. So it's The Invocation. It's the trailer for that, but there is a full-length movie and there is a companion book with it as well. So enjoy.
There is some web that ties all of life together.
It's within us, and it's within every single person that we meet.
And this agent is what we can call God.
This thing that we're all connected is finally dawning on people in a very basic sense.
We can manifest a world that works for the highest and best within all of us.
When you start to deny people of another cultural background the ability to receive the spirituality of God, that leads to war.
If you can heal your own aggression, your own selfishness, violence, greed, you begin the process of helping the world.
The greatest voices for peace through history have been very deeply spiritual and faithful people.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Our experience as humans would be improved if we regarded as our highest invocation the commonality of our species.
To have a living experience of unity.
Then God is not difficult to find. God is impossible to avoid.
What is beginning to happen is an awakening on the part of people.
There's a revolution of spiritual seekers and warriors are coming out.
Look at all of these people marching for peace together at the exact same time. Humanity. It's remarkable. It's magic.
The journey into self-realization and discovery begins with a desire for connection.
And it goes on and on and on.
Hi everybody, so welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. That's the trailer for the full-length movie, The Invocation. Again, conceived and directed by Emmanuel Itiar, and is produced and narrated by Sharon Stone, and there's a companion book of The Invocation as well. And also, interestingly enough, the origin of the word God comes from a verb that means to invoke or to call, and that's how Emmanuel came up with that title, to invoke that recognition, invoke that oneness. So, and also the piece you're seeing in between Michael and I is by Violet Crystal. It's an acrylic on canvas. It's called Bridge Between Heaven and Earth, and Violet is from the Netherlands, and literally pieces are coming from all over the world. And if ever you want to be inspired and to be empowered or uplifted, for whatever reason, if you're having a good day, not such a good day, or a great day, go to Heaven to Earth Art, heaventoearth.com, and just start flipping through the individual pages of all these extraordinary artists. Some are professionals, some are not, from all ages, 3 to, I think, 93. Just one after the other from all over the world, and everyone is welcome. So, join us, please. So, Michael, welcome again and again.
Again and again. It's like a deja vu.
It is.
Yeah, it's mini reincarnation.
Right. So, we've been together over the last few days, and we've been talking about, there's certain, new paradigms and how things are seemingly progressing, if we could put words to it. And the expression we've been using a lot of is recognition of value, recognizing value. Why don't you talk to that a little bit?
Well, when we want change, everybody's talking about change in the world, right? And we're all pretty much in agreement that there's just too much suffering. There's just so many things that's intolerable that's happened. And so, though everyone would like to see change, it's slow in the coming. And what's one of the things that makes us do what it takes to change? We can talk about it until we're purple in the face, but we have to act on something. We have to do something in order for change to occur. And what motivates us to do something is always a recognition of value. If we don't value something, we're just going to pay lip service to it at best and not do anything. But if something really moves us from within, and I think a major part of it is, I said motivation, but so far, what has motivated people in the world by and large is fear. If you have a wild animal chasing after you, you're going to be highly motivated to run faster than you've ever run. And in a sense, from childhood, the expectations, let's say, put upon us by parents or teachers or whatnot, to excel or to be better, to do the right thing and all kinds of things. So, of course, almost every child wants to be loved, wants approval from, those who they looked up to. And so sometimes out of fear of not having that, of losing that approval, losing that love of parents and teachers and those we love, we start to be afraid, okay, I have to do this, I have to excel, I have to get better, I can't be the way I am. I have to be something other than I am. And that starts to breed tremendous competition. And the values become based on that competition. It starts to become, okay, this person did math better than I did. This person can jump higher and run faster than I could. And so this person can sing better than I could. This person looks nicer than I do. And so then we start to try to be other people. We try to be like somebody else, and all the attention goes outward to others out there and to the world. And what do we have to do to be loved? What do we have to do to get some approval? And this, unless this cycle is broken, and the value is redirected, The other part that value comes from is when we're looking at, okay, what's most important? And when we start to ask ourselves what's important to us, what do we want most or whatever, we're always looking backwards. We're always looking to the past, aren't we? Most people don't look at value in the future, value of the unknown, because the mind tells us we don't know what's out there, what's in the future, what's to come, so we default back to our past experiences, and of all the experiences we've had, what do we value the most? What got us success? What do we attribute our happy moments to? Oh, this made me happy, this made me feel better, this made me healthier, and so we value those kind of things, but they're all in the past. What we're moving into now, I feel, people are interested in what's going to happen in 2012, what's going to happen when the calendar ends. I'm interested in 2013, 2014, 15th, and so forth, because if you just stop at 2012, then you're not looking at what's impossible, what's unimaginable. We need to start to find value and recognize the value in what's not present yet, what's absent from the world. What's missing here? And if we look there, then it's been missing for a long time. And if we only look for value in the past, we just recycle everything. It's all over again. The same bottle and same wine in a different bottle kind of a thing. We're just rearranging the furniture. But now we need something completely new, which means we haven't imagined it yet. How do we have that which we haven't ever imagined? Very few people value what they can't imagine. They only value what they can imagine, what they've already experienced. So the other factor in recognizing value is experience. If you experience something and it's new, wow, this is a new experience. In fact, all experience is essentially new, isn't it? It's something we haven't gone through before. It's a new, even if it's the same thing, we experience it now in a new way. And so once we experience it, we go, oh, there's a possibility here. And one of the things that everyone's thinking about is the economic conditions, and not only in our country and neighborhood, but around the world, and what's going to happen. Everybody's scared. What happens if there's no resources? Economy people associate with money a lot, but it's not just money, it's all resources, right? The economic systems are based on what is produced and how it's distributed, and then how we consume it and what's needed. And so a lot of times what's produced is determined by need and who's consuming it, how much is being used. And so more gets produced to meet the demands. But then we have this thing called the media, the medium, right? The space in between those who consume and those who produce. And that medium area, the media area, is where there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of what we call marketing that's not true. It's not beneficial. It's to just for the whole purpose of making people want and buy things that might not be necessary, might not even be beneficial. But then you can keep on producing more of it and make more money, and whoever produces it is going to get into what they feel a better place. But we're going into a place where it can't be decided by the media in between the producers and the consumer. It has to be, the media has to change to bringing the two together. What do we really need? How much do we need? It's about distribution. The distribution of wealth on this planet. People think there's not enough money, but there's more money than ever before. Even just using that as an example, there's more money than ever before, but the problem is it's not distributed correctly, right? So we need to redistribute that money. But what's money? It's energy. Like everything else, money is energy. And so we're talking essentially about the redistribution of our energy. And then back to what do we value? What do we feel is most important? When we, earlier you were showing me this video about the invocation, and one of the questions that was being asked was what's your source of happiness? People, different kinds of people, and some of these people were celebrities, some of the people were very accomplished in their fields, and some were people on the streets, and everybody had a version of what makes them happy. Well, it seems to, if you really look at that, it boils down to what's inside of you. It boils down to experience, and it's not about how much can you get and what do what kind of things do you have. It really boils down to relationship and the quality of relationship you have, not only with yourself, but with others. When you experience someone who's been suffering for a long time, and one day something happens, something magical happens, and that person smiles for the first time. That person decides, oh, I'm happy. I'm not in pain anymore. Or they succeed. Or they've been addicted to some substance, and one day after working through many things and deciding I have to get healthy, and they become free of that addiction. That's beautiful. That's when you go, oh yeah, all this working every day and doing things that may be challenging and difficult makes it worthwhile. That's a whole different kind of value. It's value that's recognition of value of what's really inside each of us and what's between us. When I was talking about earlier the competition that starts very early in life, right? When I was a little kid, the first time somebody asked me, what are you going to be when you grow up? I laughed. I was going, why is this person asking me that? What do you mean, what am I going to be when I grow up? I'm going to be myself, as I am now. But the intention and the question they were asking is, no, you can't be who you are. When you grow up, you have to be different. You have to transform yourself into something else. You're nothing now. You're going to become somebody when you grow up if you do the right things. And so then we approach education as that venue to become something else. But what happens if education became one where it teaches children, it teaches adults, it teaches all of us that how to be ourselves instead of trying to be something else? Instead of, the minute we teach people how to be something other than yourself, we enable them to be in competition, to persist in competition. A lot of times people want to know, okay, I want to be more spiritual. Or even more, a lot of people who are much more spiritual, they ask me, I'm living with, or members of my family are not really interested in spirituality. They're not interested in the things I'm interested in. Well, you can't be non-spiritual. Everyone is spirit. But the person's really asking, how do I help them get to be more the spirit that they are, more of who they are? And no amount of talking about it is going to work. You can tell them all until you're, blue in the face, and it's not going to work. But if you show them, where are they in competition? The minute a person starts to relinquish being in competition, they start being more themselves, because the root of competition is feeling that I'm not enough the way I am. How I am right now, it's not enough. I have to be more. And if that's the case, then they're going to start to go out of themselves. They're going to start to look outside of themselves for answers. They're going to start to look outside of themselves to be who they should be. Once you start to get out of competition, then you start to settle into who you already are. And that, when we have that, that's when we are happy. And it's really funny, being sitting here, glued to the seat.
They do actually glue us, by the way.
Yeah, at least
so we don't move
stapled.
around. They've talked about it, so don't be so sure to next time. We got you penciled in for next December for the stapling show.
Yeah, but when you're happy, you want to move. We live in these bodies, right? So our energy is there, our creativity is there. I look at so many people every day, and they're just, if they can see the beauty I see in them. When they wake up in the morning and they go to the bathroom to brush their teeth or something like that, they see themselves in the mirror. If they can see how I see them, you're not going to have unhappy people, But why can't most people see that? They're too consumed with where they're going to be and what's not quite right with them. People have a tendency, when you're in fear, you're always looking at the problem. How am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to fix this? But what we need to do is to redirect, the redistribution of our energy. Where are we putting our energy, and how much, and what kind of energy are we putting into these things? What happens if we start to look for what's really there instead of what's not there? What happens if we look for what we have instead of what we feel we don't have? We're going to find the treasure. We're going to find the miracle inside of us. And so when you're happy, you just want to jump around, but there's certain things. If I jumped around too much, the camera wouldn't be able to pick me up.
There'd be a couple of people very unhappy. They'd probably deal with it, but they...
Yeah. So another thing I've been really experiencing is this coming year, 2011. And beyond, I think that the time for talking about things is over. It's time for action. It's time for creativity. What's an action, right? Action is expression. It's expressing who we are. And in our society, action, people tend to separate their doing from their being. Right? They try to do something separate from who they are. And that's where all this effort is. All the stress and effort is because they're trying they're being who they are, and then they're trying to do something else. But what happens if the action comes out of your being? It comes out of who you are already, not who you're going to be, but who you are already. It just naturally flows. When we're relaxed, when we're happy, we become givers. Yeah? It's when we're unhappy, when we're afraid, we're desperate, we're angry, we become takers. Everyone is a giver underneath, because once you're being yourself, there's nothing else.
You're full.
I'm full.
And then there's an abundance, there's an overflow.
It's overflow, and it's like baking 1,000 cookies. You're not going to eat it all yourself, right? So you just go, you want some, you could even sell it, but you're still sharing it in some way, shape, or form. And so the same is with everything. We have this treasure inside of us, and every day I'm seeing these incredibly capable people. and they're in pain. They're in pain. And they think the pain is they have a broken knee or they have a bad back or whatever, but the pain that I see is in their heart. The pain that I see is this enormous creativity, this beautiful, radiant energy inside of them that they can't express. Because every time they try to share that with anybody, it's like being a door-to-door salesperson and having the door slammed in your face. And how many times can a person really go through that and still persist? So this is a time of persistence. It's one of, just like all the good salespeople learn, you don't let that bother you. You know, you can have 100 people slamming their door in your face and get out of my face, I don't want any of whatever you have to sell. But the ones who succeed are the ones that go, okay, well, let's go to the next
Well,
story.
first of all, they're doing it joyously. And then there's an unrelenting quality to it.
Yeah.
So.
Because that's what people, you know, so many people associate pain with love. Because when they fall in love or something and somebody yanks the carpet from underneath them, they're in so much pain and they go, oh, I don't want to have any of that. Because love is unrelenting. It's merciless, right? It's merciless in its mercy. It won't stop giving you mercy. It won't stop forgiving you. It won't stop just because you say stop. And so if you're trying to control that, you're going to be in a lot of pain. You know, you're trying to control something that's not going to stop. What happens when somebody loves you so much, they're not going to stop pursuing you. They're not going to stop saying, I love you, and what do you need? What can I do to help you? And if that person wants everybody to go away and they could be in their own misery and lock the doors and not have anybody around them, well, they're going to be in pain. You know, they're going to shut themselves out. And love says, that's okay. You can shut yourself out. You know, you can close the door, lock it in my face, but I'll still be here. And that's compassion. This is a time for compassion where it doesn't matter where someone's at. You just go, okay, you're there, that's fine.
Let's talk about this in the next section. Let's see. Yeah, so we're going to see the second trailer. This is from Tapping the Source, another full-length movie about the source, about coming into connection with love, about healing. It's directed by William Gladstone and Richard Greninger and Gail Newhouse. And again, this has a companion book. So, I mean, there's a lot of energy and a lot of manifestations at this time in ways that are new for us as a species in terms of like full-length movies like this. And this trailer and video was made available to us by the publicists for them, Dan Del Campos and Dia Shandera. So it's another beautiful video. There's another full, this is the trailer we're seeing, but there's a full-length movie of Tapping the Source with a book. So enjoy.
That energy, that feeling, that visceral feeling like this is something.
It's what you believe in yourself and who you are.
When I feel safe enough to just be who I am.
Doing what I love to do.
Happiness is a skill, not an acquisition.
Always reaching forward.
I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to make today rock. Whatever that shows up, whatever that looks like, I have a choice.
Wanting to be happy is the least selfish thing you could possibly do. When we are happy, we are influencing our families, our coworkers, our friends, our community, and ultimately the world.
My number one personal source of happiness is when I connect with the source.
I went through open heart surgery, and it was certainly a radical operation. You know, they break your chest open, they pull the ribs apart, and they dump ice in the cavity to get your heart to stop. So they stop your heart, they, you know, collapse your lungs, and you're running on a machine. So in the truth, they kill you so that they can bring you back to life in better state.
extreme conditions, guys that go to the North Pole and the South Pole, extreme ice climbing, Shaun White with the jumping. Everybody has this experience of a connection.
Just the feeling of being connected gives you a sense of happiness.
When you have loss in your life, you can always rebuild it. You can always go back. You can always paddle out and get another one. I will have a death with no fear. Surfing's taught me that I can face death with no fear, because there's nothing to fear about it.
When I lifted out of my body the first time and I went down the tunnel and I came into this place of such divine love, I was always there. That was the startling revelation. I have never been separated from it until I identified Danyan as opposed to divine.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are among the most ancient manuscripts ever found. They were found near Jericho in Israel, very close to where this tea set was found. This tea set is at least 4,000 years old. The Dead Sea Scrolls may be even older. Do they contain the secret to tapping the source?
Space is everywhere. Even the atom is 99.9999999% space. So our material world is mostly space with a little bit of oscillation in it.
So often, people are waiting for a leader to emerge, when in truth, there's a leader within us that's trying to emerge.
There's enough for everyone to be powerful and stable and to offer quality. And it's just a matter of serving humanity in the highest possible good.
We all have something that is very unique and right and perfect just for us. But if you're over here looking for something else, you might miss out when that opening happens for you.
I'd laugh if someone tried to stop you now.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was Tapping the Source, and that was made available to us by Dan Del Campos and Dia Shandera from LA, and there is a companion book, and look for the full-length movie. That should be out soon. And the incredible photograph you're seeing in between Michael and I is by Nela, N-E-L-A, from Ormond Beach, Florida. It's called Flow of Life. Just another amazing manifestation. So many different formats, and acrylics and oils and photographs and sculptures and jewelry and art. Anything anybody can conceive of. Any size, any format. You don't have to be a professional artist. Join us as part of the healing. Everyone is welcome. So, Michael, you were talking at the end of the last section about compassion and how that is like one of the steps into coming into that recognition of value.
And the redistribution of energy and therefore the whole thing. Well, compassion, the word compassion means it comes from a root that says with suffering. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at it, what do we need to be with suffering? Whether it's suffering within our own selves, or suffering in somebody we care about, or suffering in the world, it's really hard for most of us to be with suffering. We don't want to be with suffering. We want to get away from it as fast as possible. And so what do? With our own suffering, we deny it, we just try to run away from it, we take drugs, we do something to deaden our senses, deaden our awareness, so that we don't have to even recognize the suffering that's happening. And then, so we're humming along, overriding all this suffering within us, and we bump into somebody who has even greater suffering. And everything's energy again, so it matches. The suffering in the other person, the pain and the suffering and the fear and everything that comprises suffering in the other person matches the suffering that's within us. So by ourselves, we were able to deny it. We were able to just block it off and pretend it's not there. But when we bump into somebody else, boom, it comes right up in our face. And that's what, if we are running away from our own suffering, we're going to run away from everybody else's suffering. And how we run away from it is whether we try to change them You know, I can't handle you suffering, so I'm going to make you better. And zap, zap, I mean, you're better. Oh, you're not better. Okay, I'm going to make you better. And that makes it so much worse. As you know, we all know when somebody tries to do that to us, it makes it worse. It makes it doubly difficult. And it's because the person trying to, quote, help us hasn't dealt with suffering. They haven't developed compassion or the ability to be with suffering. The only way one can be with suffering of any kind is if one is able to persist in love, persist in being themselves and go, okay, I can have this suffering. It's painful at first and everything, but I can have it. It's okay. I'm making space for this suffering to be there. And the minute I do that with myself, then I find that when I bump into somebody who's suffering even more, I can be with that person. I can say, okay, you're suffering. And when a person's suffering, they don't have that compassion themselves. They're pushing that away. And so until they develop their ability to be with that suffering, they're going to be running away from it. And they don't want anybody to stop them. They don't want anybody to go, I'll be with you. And this is why so many people chase away those who truly love them, because really what underlies compassion is that love. And when a person loves someone, they're not going to be chased away just because the person's suffering. But the person who's suffering says, go away, I'm in too much pain, I can't handle you, I can't deal with you. You know, I don't want to handle all of this stuff. But love says, that's okay. I'm going to be here anyway. You can't get rid of me. And so this is where so many healers carry so much pain, because what is a healer? Someone who loves, someone who cares about another human being, animal, plant, it doesn't matter what it is. And so they're not easily chased away. Well, a person who can't have that is going to slam the door in their face. And this is where we were talking earlier. I was talking earlier. I'm doing all the talking.
But I was listening really well.
Yeah.
Which is like talking.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
Right.
part of it.
Right.
And so, you know, when we have so many people slamming the door in our face, or really in our heart, so to speak, of I don't want what you have. I don't want you to love me. I don't want you to tell me the truth. I don't want you to recognize the beauty that's within me, because I don't want to go there, because there's too much pain between me and that.
And it.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's all that pain? It's just the non-recognition, you know, basically boils down to the non-recognition of that value. Oh, I'd rather value my new shiny house. I'd rather value this successful position I have in my company instead of that which is really within me, the magic, the miracle that's within me. And I feel that we're really into this new space, you were calling the new paradigm, this new space of living. Humanity is being called to live as the immortal, infinite, limitless, eternal beings that we are, as souls. And for the longest time, humanity's been evolving through various stages, kind of like from the Neanderthal to, you know, all that. But we've been in this place where the general population has been living as a body-centered intellectual race. But what we're really moving into now is to live as a spirit-centered,
heart-centered,
intuitive race. Yeah? Heart-centered really means centered in that which is.
Right.
Yeah, spirit, or oneness, as you said. And so that's a big jump for an intellectual to go to be asked to be an intuitive. That's terrifying, right? Because what is...
It's unreasonable.
It's unreasonable. Right. You're out of your mind.
Right.
You have to. Well, you're not out of your mind. Actually, you, the spirit, is coming into the mind and becoming the master of it instead of the subject of it. Mm-hmm. And so then, what is intellectual is you're concentrating on reason. And all reason's just made up. It's made up, and some of it's better than others. It's nicer than others. But what happens on an intellectual level, there's a sense of control, mental control. You rearrange.
There are periods in things, and there aren't periods in things.
Yeah.
Beginnings and ends.
Beginnings and ends, and I feel like I have control over this thought and this idea and this theory and this life. But what happens if you give that up? Well, I don't know. What's going to happen to me? That's what intuitive development is about, is to give up that holding on to. It doesn't mean you give up your intellect, you still use that, but you make way for what is of spirit. So as long as you're intellectualizing, you're not going to be able to have that in your mind. The mind is occupied by all these images. But the minute
frozen.
It's
frozen. It's a blockhead.
Yeah.
You're a blockhead.
You're a blockhead. That's why Raphael, my wife, calls me a cosmic airhead, you know?
Right, exactly.
There's nothing
As
in there.
opposed to a blockhead. Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
It's empty. That was my challenge as a child.
Right.
All the school teachers expected me to spit out something that was in my mind. And most of the times there was nothing there.
Right.
So they asked me for an opinion. I said, I don't know. I don't have one. And well, you have to think, Michael. You have to think things out. If I knew the answer, I was cheating. I wasn't supposed to know the answer. If I couldn't explain how I got the answer, that was cheating.
Right. It wasn't reasonable.
Yeah, you copied somebody else's test, things. And so I had to learn. It took me many years to learn, what am I missing here? How come I'm not in communication with all these people? And they're supposed to be senior to me, right? They're supposed to be the authorities, and I can't seem to get into communication with them. But I see their aura. I see the light in them. I see who they are. And sometimes I even see where I know them from a past incarnation. But that nobody pays no recognition of value at that time in that. So we grow up as children. Everyone, every child, every soul that first incarnates into a new body has all that. In fact, that is so much stronger than any intellectual reasoning about anything. We don't have that. We don't bring that in until later.
Yet, right.
Yeah, it doesn't really start to come in until we're about 7 years old, and that's another aspect of one's soul that comes into the body about 7 years old, and that starts to kick on the reasoning and
the identity and the separation,
all that stuff. Right. Yeah, and so then when we want to experience that oneness, well, as long as the reasoning is separating everything out into beginning and end, that's...
The infinite doesn't live there.
It doesn't live there, yeah. And so then everybody wants to have that connection. Everybody wants to experience. That's... Without experience, it's nothing. So what is experience? Well, what is the only thing we're able to experience in these bodies? This vibration, in this world, in this universe. Everything in this universe is made up of energy. It's all vibration. So what we're calling experience is the experiencing of the different vibrations, the different forms the vibrations take. And so then, interesting example, we're moving into a place of really living the miracle, living out of the box, completely out of the box, where we don't know what's going to happen. And isn't that great? Can we approach what's going to happen like a kid on Christmas morning? They jump out of bed and, whoa, I don't know what the presents are. Let's find out. Let's find out what's going to happen. And so if we approach the coming times that way, then we open up the possibility for the miracle. But if we want to control it and say, well, this is the way it has to be, then we're going to repeat the history. We're at a critical time in human civilization now. This period, this point we're coming to as humanity, we've been here many times before in many different ways. And each time humanity comes to this point where we are right now, they go to battle. Every single time in history, humanity has chosen war. And right now, what this golden age is, we're not the golden age yet, we're in the golden opportunity to usher in the golden age. We're at a place where we have choice. We have a choice that humanity as a whole has never taken before. And that choice is to let go of choosing war, which is the past. War always is past, nothing to do with something new. It's always the old recycling. And so we have a choice to make, and that choice could be not just peace, because as an absence of war, but peace as the presence of light, the presence of that which is, the presence of spirit, which means on a personal, individual level, it means we have to be present. I have to be here. I have to show up. But who's this I that has to show up? You know, that's where we need the value to be recognized, is the value of spirit, the value of who one truly is. So as we start to have that, then of course money will follow, right? People right now.
Assets and because intention and desire to feed it.
Yeah, because right now, where does money go? I mean, just on an everyday thing. I was talking to a couple of dear friends of mine who have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 6 years in a row, and they started this foundation for child abuse, you know, to help with that, child help, and we're talking about, okay, the budget is minimum of $50 million a year, and other people said, wow, that's a lot of money. And I said, no, just open up the newspaper to any entertainment section or to the sports page. In one weekend, semi-blockbuster movie takes in $250 million, right? So what's $50 million in 1 year? Nothing. But people are willing to put in $250 million in a weekend, but they have it very difficult to put in $50 million in 1 year for something that's doing so much good for millions and millions of people around the world. And so we can have, I'm sure, dig up all kinds of examples like that where there's plenty of money to go around. There's plenty of energy. Energy is unlimited. So as long as energy is unlimited, money is unlimited. Resources are unlimited. It's only limited because we try to control it, and we try to hoard it, and say, okay, this is mine, and you can't have any of it. And I came first, and my life is more important than your life. And it's again, when you dig down deep, it's the competition is within each of us, where we don't truly recognize the value, the worth of our soul, the worth of who we are as spiritual beings. We pay lip service to it. You know, most spiritually oriented people and in metaphysical circles and everybody, they all talk about, yes, spirit and oneness and love and everything, but how much are we living that? That is the test of our times, is we have to live it. We have to be present. We have to show up as who we are, and we can't just talk about it. And now, how do we experience who we are? That's energy again, right? So what kind of energy are we producing? I remember, I have so many stories, but...
Well, we only got about a minute and a half. So you better get fairly really concise, fairly soon.
Remember Iniki, the hurricane that hit Hawaii, right, and especially Kauai? Well, we had a student of ours. My wife and I had this student, former student, who grew up atheist. Her parents were both atheists, and she grew up atheist, and she went. It was amazing. She went through our training to be a clairvoyant. But throughout the whole thing, she goes. She was a great reader. She sees a lot, and then afterwards, she invalidates the whole thing as, oh, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if it's true. And nothing can convince her. Well, she's in the direct hit course of Iniki. She was living in Kauai in this one house, little single dwelling house. And so she called, she's terrified. And she said, you know, people are being evacuated. I don't know where to go. And so we said, okay, you know how to ground yourselves. Right? So she grounds herself.
Got to come fast, Michael.
And she works on the energy. She cleans the energy.
And that's
hers was the only house that was remaining standing, and everybody had to live in that house in the neighborhood.
And she's not atheist anymore.
She's not atheist anymore.
If anybody wants any information about Michael, the trailers, the movies, the art project, Alan, 805-687-2053. Good night. We love you. Thank you.